If you have watched any of my previous videos, you might notice that our colony looks a lot different than it used to. This past year, we added many more breeding does to our meat rabbit colony, and they've had their first few litters this winter, and it's been going pretty well, except for that we've encountered some issues that we haven't before, and so I've had to fix them and solve them. One of the problems we've encountered that we haven't before, I've mentioned this in a previous video, is that the older rabbits in the colony, the older babies, will snuggle with the newborn babies, will get in their nests and sleep there all day, and that prevents Mama from being able to nurse the babies. Either she nurses them, but then the big babies fight for a spot and get all her milk, and the little babies don't get any, or Mama's like, oh, there's big babies in there, I shouldn't nurse them, so she doesn't feed her babies at all. So either way, that's caused a lot of problems, and then Mama's trying to get the babies out, and then covering their nest boxes, and then like smothering their babies, or having just issues because of the big babies bugging them. In a previous video, I addressed this problem. I noticed the problem, and I took you along with me as I was like, oh no, what's happening? And then I figured out what the issue was, and I invented a remedy to that. We have built a few nest boxes that don't just have holes in the cutout, but they have tunnels. They have little bits of PVC pipe that the rabbits have to go in. So the mama rabbits can cover up the entrance to their burrows without covering up the entrance and smothering their babies, or having issues with, oh, I have to cover it up, and then, oh, that's too much, and takes them out. That was problems we had before. So we fixed that problem, but now we've run into a new issue. Some of our mama does have had trouble finding a good place to build their nest. Either they don't like the nest boxes we have, which I don't really think that's the case, because some of them use their nest boxes that they're meant to use just fine, but some rabbits, they pick weird places to have their babies. They don't use the nest boxes that we provide for them. They find corners or crannies where the babies are not protected from wind. The babies are not protected from crawling out and getting cold and dying. They're not protected from the older babies stomping on them, or snuggling with them too much, and then the mamas can't feed them. There's all these problems that are happening because the mamas aren't choosing good nest box areas. So with anything farming or homesteading, or anything really, you have animals or gardening or whatever, and there are always problems, and I found this 3-step method to help me solve these problems, and I found it very effective. Step number 1 is figure out what the problem is. If you don't know you have a problem, it's pretty hard to fix it. So once you figure out what your problem is, then step 2 is finding out the cause of that problem. If babies are dying, figure out why they're dying. Is it the nest box? Is it the rabbits? Is it the cold? Is it the heat? Is it stressing out? Is it predators? Just figure out what the problem is. And then after you've completed step 2, figured out what the issue is, then step 3 is how to remedy that issue. And I've done that with the big babies snuggling with the little babies, but now I have to find a fix for this new nest box problem. You may recall, if you have watched some of our previous videos, that we used to have under this little shelf thing, we used to have nest boxes lined up. There'd be a nest box and a space, another nest box and a space, and all over there. And it turns out that wasn't the best configuration to have everything in. We'd have a nest box, and then someone would scoot it to the side and make a little crevice in between nest boxes, and then have babies in there, or have babies over here where the wind was bugging them. They were perfectly covered with fur, and they were great, except for that the wind was blowing on them, so they froze in their nest that had a ton of fur in it. That was so frustrating that day that happened. Oh, it was so frustrating. So I had to eliminate any crannies or crevices that would be appealing to rabbits to have their babies in, while providing nest boxes that are good for rabbits, and also making the nest boxes big enough for the mamas, and then tall enough, or have it so that the big babies can't get in to bug the little babies. So I had to invent nest boxes that would meet all these requirements and place them in the colony such that there aren't crevices or places that the rabbits would find appealing to have their babies in instead of the nest boxes. So we're basically forced to use the awesome nest boxes because there's no other place that looks good to them. So a few days ago, we had 2 does that were due any day. One was Rinna, the other was Pepper. They were due any day, and Pepper gave birth first. She is at the bottom of the pecking order in the colony. She doesn't like to be with the other rabbits. I don't know if it's a problem with her. She's like, oh, I don't like other rabbits, or if the other rabbits I haven't noticed the rabbits being super mean to her or anything. She's just kind of at the bottom of the pecking order, so she finds somewhere to be or hide and she doesn't really move around a lot. She just, picks a spot and stays there, and that's been okay so far. But whenever it came to choosing a nest box to give birth in, Pepper did something that wasn't very usual, that we've never had happen before. She picked a hay feeder to have babies in. So this is our hay feeder. This is supposed to be the only hay feeder we have. We'll fill this up with hay, and it's great. But she decided to have babies in here. But then there's holes that the babies could crawl out of, and there's a lot of wind that could blow through. So I had to really quickly put wood so that no holes are there for babies to escape from, and the drafts are kept out. And so now this is a new nest box, and there's babies in here, and they're alive, and they're warm, and they're doing amazing. And then I had to take 2 bits of old hay feeders and connect them together and make a secondary hay feeder. So now we have a nest box and a hay feeder. But hopefully we can get this junky one out and go back to normal with this one whenever the babies are old enough to come out of the nest box. But for now, we have 2 hay feeders. It's kind of annoying, but I'm actually really glad this happened. So keep in mind, whenever a rabbit wants to go into the hay feeder to either eat hay from inside, or sometimes they'll jump in and gather hay for their nest boxes, or like Pepper, she goes in there to nurse her babies. It's very tall, so babies, big babies like 4-week-old, 5-week-old babies can't jump in. But adult rabbits are big enough so that they can jump with their big legs all the way up and all the way down to the bottom. And they can do whatever they need to do, feed their babies, eat the hay, gather hay for their nests just fine. So anyway, back to the story. We had kind of a nest box over here, and then we had this little gap. And Rinna decided to give birth in the gap, and that was very bad because there was a lot of wind blowing there, and the babies could easily crawl out or crawl away and get cold because they need to stay in the nest box. So I put a box. It wasn't actually a box, though. It was kind of just like there was like a bottom and then 3 short sides. I put that there, put the babies in. They had all this fur. It was great, but the wind continued to blow, and I wanted to see it was a balance because you don't want to change the nest box so much that the mom was like, oh no, what do I do? These aren't my babies. It's so strange and scary, and then she doesn't nurse them. But then I wanted to protect them from the wind, but I was like, well, maybe it's okay because there's like little blockages there. But it ended up that even though they had all this great fur and this great nest, that they got cold and they died. All 10 beautiful babies. They were so pretty colors, and they all froze. But I'm glad we had this issue now so that I can prevent it happening for future litters. So I'm in the colony. I've had this huge, awesome litter of great rabbits just die. I'm sad, and I'm like, what do I do? Because we have more rabbits due soon, and I don't want the same things to happen. And it's just been, we've had a rabbit I had to hurry up and be fast. We had to leave, so I had to hurry up and build this real quick, and then we came back and there was dead babies, and I was like, oh no, and then we ate lunch and there was more dead babies. I was worried, I was stressed out, I was in a rush. I was like, what do I do? I don't want to have more babies die, and I need to figure out something to do, something fast, because even tomorrow there could be babies, and then if I don't act quick enough, then there'll be problems. So I took a few minutes, I unfrazzled a little bit, I sat back, I thought, and I was noticing. See, I'm so glad she had a litter in this one because that gave me my idea. We have 2 nest boxes that are bins with PVC coming out of them. One over here, one over here. They used to be both under here. And Selah, whose babies are 2 weeks old and now out of the nest box, but they were in this nest box. And the entrance would be covered up just fine, and the babies would stay warm in here. So I knew I liked this setup because we've had successful litters in here, and I know this setup works very well. But we only have 2 tubs, and we only had 1 piece of PVC pipe that I cut in half. So we still needed more nest boxes, but I didn't have more tubs. I really, really, really don't like to spend money where I don't have to. So I was like, I wonder if there are more tubs or more PVC I had. So I looked in the garage, and I looked kind of everywhere that we would have any, and nope, these are the only tubs we have and the only PVC pipe we have. So I was like, dang it, that won't work. And then I was looking and thinking about Pepper's babies and how tall it is so that only parents can get in, and how she picked it over other nests, and how interesting like, and how good, and because I've tried several nest box designs before, and I was wondering though, because like this has worked out so far like amazingly. So I was like, maybe I can replicate, see, because like she liked it and it worked. So that's the two important things. It needs to work, and then the rabbits need to like it enough to choose it. So I thought, hey, maybe I'll make more of these types of nest boxes and see if the rabbits like them and can use them. So I ran around the property looking at scraps and weird stuff we had, and I came up with a few nest boxes. Each one is different. Each one was super easy to construct, or I just took like a weird tub and made it. The rabbits are liking it so far. I have different designs. We have a weird like container for food that we don't use anymore. We had some weird pallet things, so I made it into a triangle to see if they like that. We have a 5-gallon bucket, and then we have, it's like a huge rectangle with a lip, and so far there are no babies in any of them. We have several designs and different things of buckets and bins, and they're all very tall. These ones are super tall, this one's kind of tall, this one's kind of short, kind of tall. And then, so my plan is we have 2 does who we don't know for sure when they were bred, but they could have babies any day. And then we have 2 does who are due in about 2 weeks. So we have all these different ideas, all these different setups and styles of nest box so that the mamas can try them out, go in them, go out of them, decide which one they like, and then use them. And then I'll be able to notice, hey, they liked the ones with the lip. That was chosen right away. Or, oh, they didn't like the lip. Or, oh, they like this tall one. Or, oh, they like that short one. And then we also have these 2 tunnely ones. So if no one likes the tunnely ones and they like these instead, then we'll do those. Or then if they like these a lot and don't really like these at all, then we can do those. So I have a lot of options. And so now there's like the trial and error phase, the testing phase. Which style do they like the best? Or do they like all of them equally? Are there some that they like better than others? So we can notice that and then make more or build more or buy more like that style. The other super important thing I did was I made sure there are no crevices, no little spaces in between nest boxes that they could like. So see right here, if this was scooted a little like over here, then there'd be like a little gap that someone could mistake as a nest box and use that for their babies, and that would be bad. So I made sure that anyone's touching are very close together, and then I put bricks here so no one can scoot them over. The only place that worries me is this little gap right here, but I can't really do anything about that. So we're going to see how that goes. So I made sure to, have a little bit of space. This is plenty of light in here. There's plenty of breeze in here. It doesn't feel safe. It doesn't feel secluded. It doesn't feel comfortable. So that, whereas this is super safe. It feels happy and it's dark in there. So, and then especially in between here, I made sure to keep these far apart. And then my hardest thing is over here. I want to have a step up here for the rabbits, but then I can't scoot it too far back because they'll make a little area for them. And then over here, under here is dark and, feels kind of safe. So I wanted to make sure there was plenty of space here. I didn't block it up with anything so that no one felt super safe and secure there. If I added another nest box here, then there'd be 2 little areas that rabbits might like. So I only have 1 nest box here. You have a huge open space here that hopefully no one likes, and then a huge open space here that hopefully no one likes. And so we will see who has babies where and which they like best. So we noticed a problem, we found the cause of the problem, and I've tried to do as much as I possibly could to fix the problem, and now will be the time to see if it worked. If mamas have babies in the right places, and then if these, maybe these aren't tall enough and the big babies can still jump in, or especially that one, maybe the little bricks will help be step stools they can jump in, and then I'll have to fix that. Or, keep perfecting the issues until they're no longer issues. So my plan now is just to wait for rabbits to have babies, and then hope against hope that they have them in the correct spots, and that my fixing of the problem has worked and will continue to work, and then we won't have any more problems, or at least not of this nature, and then we can fully deal with the next issue that comes along. Now, you may not have a colony, you may not have this problem, you may have already found a solution to this problem, you may not even have rabbits, but I've found that this 3-step method of noticing problems, figuring out the cause of the problem and fixing the problem has worked in many different ways, not even with rabbits, with chickens and other stuff. And even if you don't raise animals, I mean, you could probably apply this to any part of your life. So if you do have rabbits, if you do have a colony, then hopefully this can help you. If any of this information about nest boxes and all that crazy stuff has helped you, I really hope it does, because this has not been fun for me. I've lost many babies, and it's been sad, and it's been stressful and been hard. So if I helped you at all, and so you can know what to do, and so you can, make sure you have good nest boxes or whatever, then I really hope this helps you. If it didn't, if you don't have a colony, then maybe you can still use this 3-step method to fix any problems you do have. Maybe the only hope you got from this is watching cute bunnies, and that was kind of fun. So whatever you did get from this, I hope that it serves you well in your doing things. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure to subscribe so whenever we do have babies being born, and we'll see if the nest boxes work or if they don't. So if you want to keep following along with that story, subscribe. And if you did enjoy this video or like it or it helped you, don't forget to press the thumbs up button. Thank you again for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!